TalkTainmentRadio.com. You're listening to All in Our Family, and I'm Yolanda Robinson. You can call in at 1-877-932-9766, and we're on YouTube. Yay! You can pick us up on YouTube at Talktainment Radio 2. On this program, on this part of our program, we have Skip Young, who is the president of the Greater Columbus Basketball Association, and we're going to talk about basketball. He thinks basketball is more than just basketball. He thinks it's great, but he believes it's more than basketball, and we're going to talk about that. But Skip, could you tell the listening audience a little bit about who you are and why you think basketball is more than just basketball?
Certainly, Yolanda, and again, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure seeing you, and you've always been very helpful to us, and I just want to say that to thank you very much for what you've done for GCBLA. I'm from Columbus, Columbus native. I played at Columbus Linden McKinley and was on their first state championship team in 1967 and was co-captain with Jim Clemens, who most people are familiar with. And for those East fans, of course, they remember that team because that was the team that beat the East High School team with Eddie Ratliff and Nikki Connors. Wait.
We got so many awards, we decided we'd give Linda no chance.
That's what Eddie Ratliff said. And I told him, thank you very much. So we weren't turning down any awards.
What are you going to do? We got them all in the basement, all up in the front row.
I totally understand. But
and we said, we think we like Linda, we'll just let them win one time.
Yeah, and we appreciate you doing so. But I'm always remembered that we did beat you. That's an interesting point because in a period of 19 years or less, all the state championships, 9 or 10 state championships, are won by Columbus schools. Linden has 3, East has 5 of those. So we have a great history.
Yes.
The reason why I think that basketball, certainly in my experience, it's more than just a game because of the fact that it is, and the fact that it's become so very popular, and it has allowed so many of our young people to earn a lot of money. Now the salaries are so astronomical and so great. A person would do that, retire, and wouldn't have to do anything else in their life if they didn't want to. But I think that the issue is that once you've risen to a certain level, you have a responsibility to reach down and pull others up. And for our communities that we have what I'm calling this new age athlete. The new age athlete needs to take and leverage, and many of them do, don't get me wrong. LeBron's a very good example
of
awesome. Someone who's come from where he's come from, and to basically insert people he grew up with, help them gain some leverage in society. He's also, of course, he's got his LeBron James Foundation. He's educating thousands of young people to go to college. I think he just opened up a school for disadvantaged children. So LeBron's a great example of giving back, going in your community, and it is understood that if most or more of those players, professional athletes, particularly those from our communities, got together, formulated foundations and whatnot, we could change the complexion of our community in no time. As you know, now what's going on with a lot of gentrification, we're losing a lot of our communities. We're always crying we don't have businesses and this, that, and the other. Bottom line, America is a country built on business. It's built on capitalism and free market. So what we need to understand is that, okay, it's fine to have rallies and whatnot, but we need to build economic empowerment. And I think athletics is a good way to do that with the amount of money that they're exposed to and people that they're exposed to.
Oh, yeah. You know, you talked about LeBron's. I wish he'd get on a Xerox machine and duplicate himself all over the United States, because the work that he's done is desperately needed in our communities. But you're trying to do that with the Greater Columbus basketball. That's the reason why I love you guys, because I like what your mission is, and it excites me to when I see that that you haven't forgotten about where you came from, because a lot of times people get in those positions and they forget about the communities in which they were involved. So could you tell us a little bit about the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Association?
Yes, I can. Well, to start out with, we're not on the level of a LeBron,
I know,
but in terms of our mindset, I think we are.
Yes,
we don't have those resources, but I applaud LeBron. I think that what he's doing is a catalyst for what we're doing and what others are doing. We started about 8 years ago. It was myself, Dr. John Howard Jr., who's a native of Columbus. He went to University High. Then John went to University of Cincinnati and actually is a Hall of Famer at University of Cincinnati, and also a very renowned academician in the area of teaching writing and English. He's a writer and so on. So he's got so many things going on. And then Dr. Wallace Chandler, who actually he went to Central. He's a PhD candidate from not a candidate, but PhD from Ohio State. A very bright person. So it was the three of us. I was the baby of the litter, and so they seemed to put me at president. I got. And I took all of that. But anyway, two great young men, and we started out about 8 years ago. And our mission was to recognize coaches, players, media personalities, and anybody who had an input in the great history or legacy of basketball in Central Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and the surrounding counties. And that was our mission. But that was not the only part of our mission. We also wanted to be able to work with young people, help them to navigate through some of the same things we did, to get to the point to understand that once the ball stops bouncing, what are you going to do? Who are you going to contribute to? Who are you going to reach back down and help? And so we've done that. We've had some tremendous Hall of Fame events that happen every year in August. Third week in August, we usually have it. The last one we had about 300-something people at. And I think we've got somewhat of a brand, and I think your show, me being on your show and whatnot, and what you do helps us brand ourselves and get us out there. We've done some things with Linda McKinley High School youth, buying podcasts, teaching them technology, and they started writing articles for newspapers.
You taught them technology? I thought you would be doing basketball. So you teach them
we that's what we're trying to do.
More than just basketball.
It's more than just basketball. As a matter of fact, remember the show we had here called, we had a sports program, two youth held the program.
Oh, yes.
And it was called Big Ticket.
Yeah.
It's still in the can. I mean, we don't have it, but it's still in the can to be able to use those type of things. So these are the type of things that we see are necessary. We also recognize youth at our event with an award called the MVP of Character Award. That MVP of Character is for student athletes who basically they have to, of course, have a 3.0 GPA. They have to do certain community service. And then, of course, their basketball, acumen in terms of what they do in the sport. And we have celebrated some great young people. A young man who went to Harvard. Young man who went to the Air Force Academy, Trey Burke's sister, Imani Burke, who's out of Eastmore, and now she's at OU. I mean, we've just had fun with this, Yolanda. And so it's been fun, but, we need more help. We need more people to get on board and help us and guide us and move us to that next level.
Now, do you have to be a basketball player to be a member? Because
no.
I think people say, well, I can't play basketball.
Well, Yolanda,
I'm interested in
Yolanda, you are a full-time member.
I know, but I want to know.
I know you didn't play one basketball game.
They wouldn't even ask me to be on the team.
But we're asking you to be on our team. and you won't be sitting the bench.
I could be on the team, but I am on the team working with the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Association. But also, you talked about a Hall of Famer. You're a Hall of Famer, and you didn't even say that. But what is a Hall of Famer, and how do you get to be a Hall of Famer?
Well, I'm a Hall of Famer. I left Columbus after graduating from Linden, and I went to Florida State University. And I was placed in Florida State University's Hall of Fame, and one of the top players there. So I was in the Hall of Fame there, I think, '06, which also helped with this idea. And then I was drafted by the Boston Celtics, and I stayed there for a little while, but injury ended my career. And so, yeah, I'm a Hall of Famer and a few other things. The thing of it is that I think a Hall of Famer, we're looking at what an individual has done during their period of time regarding their play. We're looking at their accomplishments. We're looking at the impact that they've had after that. People who could have basically went into business, education, or whatever they went into. So Hall of Fame is inclusive of a lot of different things, and not just basketball, but it starts there.
It's basketball and more than that.
Basketball and more than that.
Oh my goodness! Now, could you? I mean, you got an event coming up. I mean, Saturday. Could you tell us a little bit about that? And
Certainly, I can tell you real quick. We've got our a fundraiser luncheon coming up Saturday, June 16th, and it will be at the Social Club and Event Lounge, 4419 Crossroads Center, which is right across from Eastland Mall. And the event is a lunch brunch. It's $25 per person for that. We were hoping people would be able to send their money in early, but we welcome them coming with the money. But please come with exact change, you know. And it will be recognizing about 30 or 40, 30-something to 40 nominees. This year we have 30-something to 40 nominees that we nominated, and they're being considered to be inducted in our 2019 class, which that decision will be made in January of 2019.
Wow. Can you give us a little hint of who some of the people are?
Oh, no, it's not a problem at all from the nominees.
Yeah, from the nominees.
You got Satch Sullinger. Let me see. Satch Sullinger. You have Scott Weekly. Let me see, who else do you have? You asked me, and I'm really frozen right now. John Howard, because John is going to go in this time.
Oh, John, that used to be with the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah,
right?
John played with the Globetrotters. Yeah, so John's going in this time. We're putting in a Miss Whitehead. We have quite a few female players.
All right.
You know, that'll be recognized anyway. And so it's going to be very, very, very good. Benji Burke is nominated.
Wow.
And so let me see, Mike Stump, who played at West. So we've got a variety of people that have played and contributed in Columbus who will be there. We'll have some officials as well. Terry Geis, who's been a long-time official in the area, Bob Quasi, Joe Toon, I mean, just to name a few. So it's going to be pretty inclusive of a lot of different people in the basketball area. And we'll recognize them, and we'll share some of our insights in terms of what the mission and of GCBLA is and what we look to doing moving forward.
Oh wow, that sounds like it's going to be a good event. I'll be there.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little. we're gonna have a little music. We're gonna have a little music, little jazz, little R&B. I mean, you know, we're gonna jazz it up a little bit.
I like that music.
You know, we're gonna be. It won't be jazz and eggs, but you know, we're trying to get there.
We're trying to get there, but,
Yes,
but I tell you, but you know what? I went to that Hall of Fame event that you're talking about, a first class event. I mean, they did their dog and pony show. It was so nice. I mean, some of the 100 black women, we had our table, and
I saw you were looking glamorous.
Yeah, of course, we wore our red.
I told you I loved it. Yeah, you were looking glamorous.
But we were rooting for all of them. I mean, it was just, and the stories that they told about, oh my gosh, about how they got started and some of the things that happened while they did basketball. Now, then you know, you went to the NBA, and I would like for you to share, like, is it that difficult to get in there, and how long do you have to practice to get to that level?
Well, I mean, you know, you really have to make up your mind that this is what you want to do. There are a lot of factors to it. Of course, I played many years ago. The money wasn't what it is now. The organizations, you have more teams now.
So it's a lot more difficult now?
Well, just as difficult. I mean, you've only got 400 jobs. And then, you know, you've got this draft, and you've got all these camps you got to go to in terms of performing and showing what you can do. It can be quite difficult, but it's like any other profession. You have to work at it, and there's a lot of factors there. And then when you get up there, I mean, you could be a number 1, number 2 draft choice or close thereof, and you get there and you think you're going to one team. By the time you go on stage, they've sent you to another team. So a lot of times what happens with young people realizing it's business. And I think to your point about what basketball, our young people need to understand business. And I think they need to get educated before they go on those levels. They need to understand how that works. And because if you don't make it, you might be able to do something else. You may not play basketball again, but you may be able to stay in the arena of basketball.
Stay around it.
Stay around it. I mean, you can end up being, work GMs, scouts, medical doctors. There is all kinds of areas because it's a corporation. So in that corporation, there are many, many, many jobs available. So just don't look at it as just playing basketball.
And you could own your own basketball team.
Well, I hope that with the way that we're moving with these athletes and the amount of money they're making, I hope we go back to the way we were basically, not totally, when we were in the 30s and when we owned baseball teams. We had ownership. You understand? That's our problem now. We don't own anything. We work for somebody else, even professional athletes. Now, this is the issue with the NFL, arguing over whether they're going to stay in the locker room or come out or all that. I mean, we don't have that much say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's another conversation for another level. But again, we do need to move towards ownership.
Yeah, ownership, and like you said, if you don't make it, there's other fields. It's not over.
There's plenty.
Other fields that you can go into.
There's plenty of fields to go into in terms of that. I mean, because basketball now is a global sport, and it extends beyond the United States. It's everywhere. So there are all kind of opportunities that are available and avail themselves. We just have to open up our minds and our hearts and have the courage to step out.
Yeah, because I remember last year at the Hall of Fame, there was someone, I can't remember who it was, that was played not in the United States, but played in another country. Who was?
Charles Barton, who we nominated. Charlie left and went over to Sweden to play. And Charlie and I used to interact with each other. We love the game. And Charles now is a very renowned coach in Sweden.
Yeah.
Very renowned. In fact, he coached Magic Johnson's team that Magic owned in Sweden. So there's a picture of him giving instructions to Magic.
Wow.
And so we have people from Columbus doing a lot of things, and Charlie's one of those on the international level.
All right. Now, what are some of the things that you have? I know you got the Hall of Fame coming up next year in August, but what are some of the other programs that you are planning with the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Association?
Well, right now we're trying to work out some specific things in terms of partnering with the Historical Connection here, which used to be the Historical Society.
Oh, wow.
I just met with the Hardin, Councilman Hardin's aide,
Shannon.
and Shannon. Yeah, we talked about that, some things with them. We had already worked with the city in terms of doing some things regarding My Brother's Keeper. So trying to resurrect that with them, with them. They're still going with it, but we actually took and instituted an award, My Brother's Keeper Award.
I saw that. That was awesome.
So those are some of the things we'd like to do. We'd like to get back to doing what we agreed with the former superintendent of schools, working with Linden, working with South, working with some of the other schools, and that kind of thing. So there's a lot that we're looking at doing and continuing. I'd like to get this program back. I mean, I'd like to get the sports show back with young people some kind of way.
Yes.
I'd like to see us do that. I thought that was just excellent. It's an excellent try.
Yes.
And I'd like to see us get that back because it's about really preparing these young people to basically be ready to take over. And we need more millionaires. Billionaires.
Right.
I see everybody smiling. Everybody here smiling. If you smiling, you with me. We need more millionaire and billionaires. You understand? So we can make things happen. We don't have to beg to make it happen. You understand? You know? So
and won't be doing things on a shoestring.
That's correct. Always, whining and crying. Woe is me. Yeah, woe is me. I don't have enough.
Never have enough.
I mean, and if we keep our faith, though, keep our faith, and that can happen. And I think I read a book I always tell people about. It's called The Jewish Phenomenon. And it talks about their principles that they operate with regards to money and getting ahead. But the guy said in the book, first thing he say any people can take these principles and use them. See, any people. And so the principles are out there. Even from the standpoint of various countries. Koreans come here, they don't go to the banks the first thing they do. They get with their group loans them money, they open up their business. And then while they're in business, they're paying money back into the pot so they can turn around so the next person can open their business.
And that is key. They are paying them back. That's right. If you lend the money, you pay it back. They operate from a family. They operate from a family code. And if you don't pay them back, some bad stuff might happen. So we need to have our own business. I mean, and I noticed that when I went into saw Motown and how Berry Gordy started his business, he couldn't get a loan, but his family lent it to him, and he paid it back. Johnson & Johnson. He borrowed from his mother. His mother gave him $500, $600. These businesses started by that. So
and he paid it back. He paid it back.
So that was the key, is just not taking it. And then, a lot of times, sometimes when, we find that when people are trying, when they get up to the top, they forget about the folks that have helped them to get to the bottom. I mean, that were at the, they helped them to get there, and then
until they fall.
And then they talk about I survived. I came up here. I got up here on my own bootstraps. That's not true. Somebody helped you and opened up a door for you.
You're right.
If we can change the mindset, that's the reason why I like y'all, because you're talking about changing the mindset and using it. Basketball, because that's basketball. Every child in the neighborhood loves basketball.
That's right.
But you take it where they're at and educate about, starting your own business, learning the math, learning, there's a difference, the history of the program. So that is really good.
Yeah. One last thing. You and I spoke about our young people. One of the things I'd like to see is building or refurbishing courts.
Yes.
But what happens is, instead of just doing that so they can play basketball, teach the kids science, math, and technology and engineering. Let them design, engineer the court. Let them paint it. Let them name it. Let them decide what activities are going on court. Give them a vested interest in the court. That's growth. And now you're developing business leaders. You're developing entrepreneurs. Okay? So think about that.
And you know what? I learn, and I know our children learn with all our senses. The touch, the reading, the sight, all of that is a part of learning. And when the program that you're talking about, they are learning math, but they don't realize it, and they're having fun at the same time. If they're interested in basketball and they want to build a court, they're learning measurements.
You're right.
Language arts, all those things.
There you go.
And then not only that, they're learning, they're getting the pride in their own community, because I'm pretty sure if they build it, that they're going to have more pride in it. They said, this is something that I helped build, and learning how to give back to their community. So that is just awesome, awesome program that you're talking about. But how can we get in contact? Now, if you want to become a member of the Greater Columbus Basketball Legends Association, how do they do that?
Well, they can go to our website, which is www.greater, GREATER, the letters CBLA.org.
Okay. And they can go there and they can become a member become a member of, how much is the membership?
Member's only $25.
Is that all? I thought you was going to talk about $125, $200.
But we're going to have to raise it, we know, but we're trying to encourage people to do. And that's $25, and we certainly would, we welcome people to come and join and assist us, especially people that can bring some technical assistance, knowledge, business knowledge, because we really look at ourselves as a business organization.
All right. Oh, thank you, Skip, for being on this week's program of All in Our Family. Now, on the next program, we're going to have representatives from the Funk Museum in Dayton. We're going to continue to celebrate Black Music Month. So stay tuned. I'll see you next week. Love you.